Hello, this is Andy Bennett, owner of Interactive Learning and your CHiSL 365 representative. Thank you so much for joining us for this monthly CHiSL 365 training. The purpose of this training series is to provide you, CHiSL instructors, the needed and pertinent information to help you make an impact on your cadets. Thank you again for joining us for this training, and we hope to see you in the future. Enjoy. Hey guys, Andy Bennett with Interactive Learning and CHiSL. This is our March CHiSL training, and today we're going to talk about and go through the basics of the curriculum. The feedback that I've gotten from the first training back in February, which was just kind of an overview, was all of those topics sounded good. So I'm just going to kind of go through in order of those 1 through 7 that we talked about last month. So I'm going to get through this as quickly as possible. There's quite a few slides here. So this is as best as I can do with just a general training to folks trying to hit all of the different aspects that might be useful for folks. Obviously, if you need one-on-one support, we do have that. I'll put up that link that you can access, or just scan that code and get one-on-one support. Or if we need to do a more formalized training with your school, be that webinar or an on-site, we have lots of different options. So but for right now, let's just dive into the CHiSL basics and we'll go from there. For those that don't know, CHiSL stands for Character, Health, and Fitness. The I is Interactive, Service, and Leadership. And this was created to have a middle school variety of JRTC curriculum that can catch kids before they might check out in middle school grades. This is a picture of our CHiSL team. There's me. Donna Rice. Dr. Rice is the creator of the CHiSL curriculum. Doug Darden is our national program manager, helps all of the program side of things. Brian Sakonchina is the creator of Cadet Portfolio that our instructors and our CHiSL instructors can take advantage of. Tamara is my right-hand lady, and she handles all of our logistics. And Grant Jackson is the director of sales at the supply room. So if you need anything uniform or guard equipment, anything JRTC style, military style that you would need for your program, Grant can hook you up with that. Real quick background, middle school leadership programs have been around a long time, at least since the 1990s in Fort Worth and California. In 2010, the Army formalized that, and we created what was called Project PASS. That went exceptionally well, so well to the point that they wanted to expand it, and then that caught the eye of the lawyers, and they said, hey, you can't put that DoD funding down into below 9th grade at the time. Now it's 8th grade. So my company, Interactive Learning, stepped in. We created and helped to finish that curriculum, that 3-year curriculum, and we rebranded that as CHiSL in 2016. We've been going strong since then. From the initial, I think it was 15 to 20 Project PASS programs, we're now nearly 200. So a little bit of a slow growth, but that's considerable growth in the last 10 years or so. You can see just an idea of where we're at. We're working on getting Fort Worth in. We've got good conversations with Iowa, Chicago, Baltimore, lots of interest in lots of different places, the Pacific as well. So we are all over the world and definitely all over the country, but there are definitely empty spots that we would love to help open up middle school programs. So if you know of somebody that would be interested in helping with that, we're happy to have that discussion with them. We often talk about CHiSL as kind of having a 3-legged stool. We've got curriculum, which is what we're talking about today. We've got the technology, which we'll talk on a subsequent training, and then we have program support, and that's really where Doug shines and helps to help you run your program, grow your program, all of the ins and outs of that. So again, we're going to do the first of our 3-legged stool now and talk about curriculum. We do have 3 complete separate years of curriculum, course 1, 2, and 3. It does start internally, like who am I as a leader, and personal success. And then once we've established that base, we can move on to what does leadership look like in my school and my community. And then we've established that. We're getting a little bit broader. And then the 3rd course is all about leadership in a diverse world. We often see, and we'll show you this a little bit later, as far as how you schedule your classes. Oftentimes you can't have only 6th graders, then only 7th, and then only 8th for a 1, 2, 3-year program. It does work that you can bounce around to these. There is some fundamentals that you lay in course 1 that you can pull on in course 2, but in that scheduling thing, it does actually identify, hey, if you're going to talk about, where are you in your course to success? You might want to reference something that we talked about in course one. It talks about all of that. So lots of cross connections there, but you can jump in and use any lesson and get a lot of value out of it. We also have Leadership Lab. We'll talk about the CHiSL 365 extra components later, but in Leadership Lab, you have service learning, which we'll show a couple slides from, physical fitness, and drill and ceremony, which we've got some amazing content from there and that we use some amazing partners. Our CHiSL curriculum is digital, and it has three components. Every CHiSL lesson has three components. The first one is the instructor guide. This is kind of the Bible of the CHiSL lessons because it has notes to the instructor, facilitate in this way, ask this question, do this group activity, get these supplies. Everything that the instructor, you need to know, is in the instructor notes on the right-hand side. In the upper left, you can see the thumbnail of what the PowerPoint looks like. And then in the lower left, you can see the directions to the students in their student learning guide. So this one document has everything that you, the instructor, the class, and the individual students need to be doing and understanding at that point. Then we have the student learning guide. This is the first page. Subsequent pages actually have places where the students can have a written response or answer questions or do group work together. But the first one talks about why is it important? What's the vocabulary? How will we know we've been successful? That's the beginning of the student learning guide. Here's what the PowerPoints look like. I just took a smattering of some of the ones from the PowerPoint that we'll look at in a second. We've got a student learning guide slide. We do take a minute to talk about why is this lesson important. Again, those cues are in the student learning guide, but just as a conversation piece, anytime you see a blue hyperlink, that is a link out to a website or out to a document that will further enhance the lesson. So this is a good slide that happens at the beginning of all of the CHiSL lessons that really get the students dialed into what it is we're talking about. We've got clicker questions, mobile device questions with point solutions throughout that. Some of those have correct answers rather. And if they do have correct answers, you'll actually have competition aspects that you can leverage. And then we have learning activities or group activities. Sometimes you'll see a little bubble in the upper right that will say get into groups of 3 or 4. So this is a really fun one in that lesson. And then we've got 1 minute of gym, 1 minute of Zen, just as ways to kind of break up the lesson a little bit, get the students up and moving, stop for a second, reflect on what they've talked about. So a whole smattering of different fun and engaging PowerPoint slides and activities in those. You'll notice there's not a lot of text on any one of these, and they're all chunked in such a way, which I think that's my next one. So we really try to avoid cognitive overload by having a bunch of text that the students have to read. It's really just a cue between that and the instructor guide of what are the questions that are going to be asked, what is the discussion going to be taking in place in class at that point. And that's the purpose of the PowerPoints, is to kind of spur that discussion in those group work activities. So here's a cross section. We've seen the 3 years. We've got drill and ceremony, and then service learning and happens throughout there. And then we can add into that the physical fitness aspect. Some of the program outcomes, there's really way too many to list at this point. In addition to character, health, and fitness, service, and leadership, we're trying to help them to be personally successful, have a healthy lifestyle, understand what a leader is, that they are a leader, solve problems critically, make decisions, just become an expert, helps communication skills, critical thinking skills, learning skills, so much that you can give your students if you will leverage the curriculum that we have given you to really open their eyes to all of their full capacity and their full capabilities. We are linked to national standards and Texas standards. Texas likes their own specific standards. I think we just recently updated the TEKS. That's what they call those, the physical education standards. But for everybody else, we have national Common Core, college, and career readiness standards that are tied to all of the lessons. So we mentioned Leadership Lab before, physical fitness. It goes along with the Presidential Youth Fitness Program, drill and ceremony. We've got color guard, orienteering, and the service learning was adapted from a great company called Generation On. So way more than we can get through today, but just wanted to give you kind of just a reminder if you've not seen this before. We also changed the wording or the name of the curriculum a little while ago from CHiSL to CHiSL 365, because now we're adding in new resources here, and a lot of that is created by instructors. This was one that we've created, but it was a handbook. So as you go through those first couple weeks, what are the policies? How do they come into class? What are the procedures of what you do? And you can take this Word document and PowerPoint, modify this for your own use case, and then use this as kind of your groundwork of laying for the entire school year. Some of the examples of the ones that either instructors had helped us create or that we've created for you was a really easy CPR lesson. This was adapted from the American Red Cross hands-only CPR. So there's no breaths involved in this. And through going by this through this PowerPoint, they're not going to get certified, but they're going to have a pretty good idea of what they need to do if they ever needed to give CPR. Same idea with flag folding. We took an existing resource, made it into an easy to deliver PowerPoint lesson that walks through all of the steps of folding a flag. And I think it even does the flag folding ceremony there at the end. These are amazing. We've got more of these coming. These are video-based lessons. I think the ones that are in there are all about habits. So it's a video with our good friend Dave, and he walks through. He's a professional counselor and life coach, and just talks through all of the things of how to be resilient and then just the values that you need to succeed in life. And then his lovely wife leads us through some yoga and mindfulness lessons that are related back to the CHiSL aspect. So character, health, and fitness service. So for those that would like that resource, it's there for you. Okay. We also have some cybersecurity lessons, one and then more coming that are really great to kind of introduce students to what cybersecurity is and the importance of that. So real quick here, we're just going to dive through just a real quick lesson. This is what our CHiSL lessons look like. We'll see part one. Most of them will have 3 to 6 parts. That's basically a class period at that point. So one part would be one class period. We can always go in and access our game activities or team assignment here. So we can make this into a team activity or a competition. And then here's our student learning guide. You can see as we click on this, it actually opens it up in a PDF copy. So you can blow this up, have the students read through, what are we going to do? How will we know we've been successful? What are our vocabulary? And then, as I said before, then we've got right here, and these are fillable. I must have grabbed the wrong one here, but these will have little check marks that they can just click on their Chromebook or their iPad and check these off that they have watched the video, they've created and gathered their winning color cards. All of that is editable for them on their side, and just have a quick conversation. I mentioned the little bubbles in the right-hand corner here. So this is a Think, Pair, Share activity. There we go. There's a video. We're not going to watch all of these videos. You can jump around here. Once we've watched the videos, we've done our sorting of our winning colors cards, which we'll do another lesson on that. Then you go into a lesson activity. Again, groups of 4. So using the cues here and the instructor guide, you would lead cadets through this activity. They would reflect on their winning colors. And then we have a few questions that they would answer to make sure that they've locked in the instruction that was just taught. Captures that. B was the correct answer. We see the little check mark there. We'll ask a couple of these, and then we'll look at our competition slides on the lower right-hand corner that allow you to leverage competition while they are learning. Let's do one more here. And we see up here with the Point Solution software that 30 people have responded. We can close the polling, and there it is right there. So we can now look. Clicker number 1, 14, and 29 are all tied with 30 points. They've got all the questions correct. I can look at my team scores. It takes up the total number of cadets, divides that by their total number. That gives us our team score. We have our top scorer or our team MVP from every team. And then we have a fastest responder. So who answered the question correctly the fastest? So lots of fun different ways to leverage competition in this. And there's a 1 minute of Zen again as a pause and reflect on what we've learned. And I'll jump around to one more, which is like a 1 minute of gym. So stand up. We've got a whole folder of activities that they can do at their desks, standing up, doing 60-second of movement to get their brains activated and break up the class a little bit. So lots and lots of different ways to access that. And that's just a quick taste of what the PowerPoints look like. Here's another one in course 3, which is called Global Map. This goes out to a website, which is the VNEP, so Veterans National Education Program. They're an amazing partner of ours. And this global awareness map is absolutely brilliant. And you can click into whatever area you would like to. And if we want to look at Israel right now, it talks about the terrain, the climate, the people, religions, news feed if there's anything specific going on, and talks about history. There's actually videos that go along with this. None of these are terribly long. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And there are many times actual documents that go along with that, like this. So we've got that, and then we've got some activities. There it was, discussion questions, right? So after you watch the video, there's some discussion questions that you can ask the class and engage on them a little bit. Again, don't have time to get into all that, but just as an idea, okay? Here's our leadership lab, drill and ceremony as well. We have different group activities and roles, and just a real quick resource crosswalk. So all of the different things we have access to. Again, we're not going to dive into this with great detail, but understand in the instructor resources folder, instructor resources of CHiSL, you've got two spreadsheets. One of them is the traditional method. If we zoom in on this, you can see that these are our weeks, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. But we see once we've established and introduced the program, starting with week 3, I'm only going to teach 2 days a week. And then I'm going to do drill and ceremony. And if we scroll down, we would do service learning. We would maybe alternate on weeks that we are doing inspection days. Okay, so there's lots of things, and you can kind of customize this. These are all Excel spreadsheets. And then alternatively, if you don't have a 6th, 7th, 8th, year 1, year 2, year 3 type of program, you can also go in here and say, hey, I've got 18 weeks. I got 1 week off. I'm going to teach 2 days a week. So I've got X number of lessons I need to do. And then with these little drop downs, you can narrow down on what you're wanting to focus on. Do I want to focus on communication? Do I want to focus on character or winning colors, or whatever the case is, goals, culture? We hit the drop down, we find what we want to focus on, and then it goes through all 100+ lessons, and it says, hey, these are the lessons that have a main focus of this, a secondary focus of that. Copy those, and then we can get to our 18+ lessons, whatever we need to, in that spreadsheet, and that's basically your career, your schedule for the semester. Okay. All right. Here's some resources and some research involved in the middle school program, and even with the student response system. So the idea of using and leveraging the clicker system with middle school leadership. So exactly what you're doing right here. We had a article published in 2018, and it talked about how using the student response. So whether that's with clickers or mobile devices, if we're using this with the way the curriculum has it set up, this will promote engagement. It motivates the student. It increases their learning. Positive classroom management, because we're actively working around the classroom. Lots of different benefits right there. Technology alone obviously does not improve that, but it does help to create a student-centered classroom. And yeah, just the learning strategies that they're in. So lots of ideas with that. We also did a study in Fort Myers, Florida, with 7th and 8th grade students. And we asked, hey, do you enjoy this? Would you recommend this type of program? And the results were overwhelmingly positive, right? Class is different because we're able to build relationships with kiddo, teach respect, and that the technology and curriculum is fun. So lots of aspects for that. So I realized that was a kind of a quick run through here, but I don't want to keep you too long. But I wanted to make sure that you had access and were able to see that. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And we will catch you on next month's training, where we'll dive into the next subject. Appreciate it. Take care.